I want to play a quick game with you. I am going to list 9 daily habits, and I want you to keep count of how many you do without thinking. Sitting for more than 2 hours at a stretch. Skipping breakfast. Using your phone in bed before sleep. Eating alone most of the time. Not drinking water until you feel thirsty. Listening to content at high volume through earbuds. Never challenging your brain with new learning. Breathing through your mouth while sleeping. Spending minimal time outdoors in natural light. How many did you count? Drop your number in the comments. I am Dr. Bennett, and I want to spend today walking through why each of these seemingly harmless habits is, according to neuroscience research, accelerating the loss of brain cells and increasing your risk of cognitive decline after 65. Habit number 9, sitting for more than 2 consecutive hours. Your brain receives roughly 20% of your cardiac output, a constant flood of oxygenated blood that fuels the metabolic activity of 100 billion neurons. When you sit continuously for extended periods, calf muscle contractions, which act as a secondary pump for venous return, stop. Blood pools in the lower extremities, cardiac output decreases slightly, and cerebral blood flow measurably drops. Research from the University of California found that adults who spent more time sedentary had thinner medial temporal lobes, the brain region critical for memory formation. The thinning occurred independently of exercise habits, meaning that even people who exercised daily showed brain thinning if they also sat for long, continuous stretches. The solution is not vigorous exercise, like it is breaking sitting time with 2 to 3 minutes of standing or walking every 45 to 60 minutes. Habit number 8, not drinking water until you feel thirsty. Your thirst mechanism weakens after 65. Research published in the European Journal of Neurology found that older adults have a reduced osmoreceptor response, the biological signal that triggers thirst, meaning you can be significantly dehydrated before you feel any urge to drink. Even mild dehydration at just 2% body water loss measurably impairs cognitive function. Short-term memory, attention, psychomotor speed, and executive function all decline. For an aging brain already managing reduced neurotransmitter production and declining vascular function, chronic mild dehydration adds a significant cognitive burden that is entirely preventable. The practical fix. Drink water on a schedule, not on demand. A glass upon waking, 1 mid-morning, 1 with lunch, 1 mid-afternoon, and 1 with dinner. This schedule ensures adequate hydration regardless of whether thirst signals are firing correctly. Habit number 7, high-volume audio through earbuds. This habit is increasingly common among seniors who use earbuds for phone calls, music, and podcasts. And the brain connection is not the obvious one about hearing loss, though that matters too. The specific brain risk is cognitive load. When hearing declines, your brain must work harder to process sound, recruiting additional neural resources from areas normally dedicated to memory consolidation and attention. Research from Johns Hopkins found that adults with hearing loss had significantly faster rates of cognitive decline than those with normal hearing, and that the relationship was dose-dependent. Using earbuds at high volume accelerates hearing loss, which then accelerates cognitive decline through this neural resource competition mechanism. The safe volume threshold is 60% of maximum on most devices. If you cannot hear your earbuds well at 60%, that is a hearing evaluation conversation, not a reason to turn it up. Habit number 6, skipping breakfast. I know this is controversial. Intermittent fasting is popular, and for some people, skipping breakfast is intentional. But for seniors over 65, particularly those without obesity-related metabolic issues, skipping breakfast can extend overnight fasting to 16 or more hours, during which cortisol rises progressively. Prolonged overnight cortisol elevation has been linked in multiple studies to increased amyloid beta accumulation in the brain. A study from Washington University School of Medicine found that poor sleep quality, which extends effective fasting periods, was associated with higher cerebrospinal fluid amyloid beta levels in cognitively normal adults. Eating a protein-rich breakfast within 2 hours of waking helps normalize the cortisol curve. Habit number 5, mouth breathing during sleep. Sleep-disordered breathing, including snoring and mild sleep apnea that may go undiagnosed, is remarkably common in seniors. When you breathe through your mouth during sleep, several brain-damaging processes accelerate simultaneously. Nitric oxide, which is produced in significant quantities in the nasal passages and sinuses, is bypassed entirely with mouth breathing. Nasal nitric oxide has direct vasodilatory effects in the pulmonary and cerebral circulation. Mouth breathing also reduces blood oxygen saturation and increases carbon dioxide retention compared to nasal breathing. Chronic intermittent hypoxia during sleep, even mild reductions in blood oxygen, is now strongly linked to tau protein phosphorylation and amyloid accumulation in the brain. The intervention is simple. Nasal strips or nasal dilators worn during sleep to encourage nasal breathing can make a measurable difference. For significant snoring or suspected apnea, a sleep study is warranted. Habit number 4. This is the one that will stop you. Habit number 4. Chronic social isolation. I know that phrase is thrown around a lot, but I want you to understand the neuroscience of what isolation actually does to a brain after 65. Social engagement exercises a constellation of high-level cognitive functions simultaneously: language processing, emotional inference, working memory for conversational context, executive function for social navigation, and empathetic modeling of other minds. Regular social interaction is, in neurological terms, one of the most cognitively demanding and brain-protective activities available to seniors. Chronic social isolation deprives the brain of this stimulation, while simultaneously elevating inflammatory cytokines, particularly interleukin-6, through a mechanism researchers call social stress biology. A meta-analysis published in Perspectives on Psychological Science found that social isolation increased dementia risk by 50% and all-cause mortality risk by 29%, comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes per day. If you are eating most of your meals alone, spending most of your days without meaningful conversation, or feeling disconnected from community, this is a brain health emergency, not a lifestyle preference. Prioritizing social connection is among the most evidence-based dementia prevention strategies we have. Habit number 3, never learning anything new. Neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new synaptic connections, does not end at 65. It continues throughout life. But it requires stimulus. The same routine, the same conversations, the same television programs, the same activities provide no novel neurological challenge and generate minimal new synaptic growth. Learning a new language, a new instrument, a new skill, or even engaging deeply with new information, like watching and thinking critically about what you learn, activates neuroplasticity mechanisms and builds what researchers call cognitive reserve. Cognitive reserve is the brain's redundant neural capacity that allows it to continue functioning normally, even as some neurons are lost to aging. Higher cognitive reserve is the primary reason some people maintain sharp cognition into their 90s, while others decline significantly in their late 60s. Habit number 2, insufficient natural light exposure. Your circadian rhythm is set primarily by morning light entering your eyes. After 65, the lens of your eye yellows slightly, filtering more of the blue spectrum light that is most effective at resetting the circadian clock. This means that spending your morning hours indoors, already problematic, is even more disruptive to circadian function in older adults. Disrupted circadian rhythm impairs the timing of glymphatic brain waste clearance, reduces nighttime melatonin production, impairs deep sleep architecture, and dysregulates cortisol. Each of these effects independently accelerates cognitive decline. 15 to 20 minutes of outdoor morning light exposure, before 10 in the morning, not through a window, is one of the most powerful circadian and cognitive interventions available. Habit number 1, passive television watching for more than 4 hours daily. Passive television watching, but particularly of low stimulation content, is associated in multiple prospective studies with increased dementia risk, independent of other factors. The mechanism appears to be both direct, it displaces more cognitively active pursuits, and indirect through its effects on sleep timing, physical activity displacement, and social isolation. This does not mean no television. It means being intentional about the cognitive content of what you watch, limiting continuous viewing sessions, and ensuring television is not the primary occupation of your evenings. Engage actively with what you watch. Discuss it. Think critically about it. That engagement changes the neurological demand from passive to active. 9 habits. Pick the 2 that apply most to you and change them first. That is not overwhelming. It is strategic. And over months and years, it adds up to a meaningfully different brain trajectory. I am Dr. Bennett. I will see you in the next one.